Right. So, hello, this is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. We're at 12:07. This is the organizational meeting of the House Ethics Panel. And to get the panel going, the first order of business is to elect its chair because the panel elects its own chair. So at this time, I will entertain any nominations for chair.
Nominate Martin Lalonde as chair.
Second it.
All right, Representative Odie has nominated Representative Martin Lalonde as chair, and Representative Michael Morgan has seconded. Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, the panel can now take a vote on the chair. All those in favor of appointing Representative Martin Lalonde of South Burlington as chair of the panel, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, Representative Martin Lalonde is chair of the House Ethics Panel. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, and condolences as well. All right, so not a whole lot of business to conduct right now. I did want to talk about the fact that we started looking this past fall, really, I think, at whether there's some adjustments to the rules governing and procedures, because there's rules, there's procedures governing our work, and mainly just looking at whether there's some room for some more transparency. As far as we know that some other organizations that do ethics rules, such as the judicial, what's the judicial one called? Judicial Conduct Board, and what's the other one?
The Criminal Justice Council.
Justice Council. And
Office of Professional Regulation.
Thank you. That's the one I was thinking of. They do, for instance, a closing document that's public that doesn't have names on it, but it kind of explains a little more than what we do right now. Mm-hmm. So just looking at whether there's some more transparency and looking at whether there can be more transparency or coordination among the different panels, like discrimination panel there often can be overlap. So we don't have anything yet, but we will want to actually schedule another subsequent meeting to dig into what we want to get into there. Okay. But probably before we do that, I'm going to probably try to have discussions with the other panels, probably through the speaker, just to see if, because we don't want to be way ahead of where other panels are. So I think we want to be consistent in how we're dealing with transparency and communication. The other thing was just, we really have very strict confidentiality in our procedures as well. Mm-hmm. And there were instances in the past year where it was quite public, particular some of the doings, yeah. and we couldn't say anything about what we were doing as a process to deal with that. And I think that we want to have a little more flexibility that we will be able to do that. So that's kind of one of the next main things that we need to take a look at. So I think that's all, except that there are a couple of things I wanted to mention that we probably want to not be live.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, I'll just note that in preparation for the beginning of this session, the standard is that the panel provides the members with ethics training. It's actually a requirement of your House Rule 90. So I believe, in coordination with the Speaker's office, I believe a tentative time for this training will be Thursday, January 23rd after floor. We should have a short 3 o'clock floor. So Michael, Grady, and I as panel co-counsel can prepare a training draft for you that is an update of the draft of the training that the panel has provided previously to House members.
So we will all get to see that, and we can give some input for the training that's going to happen next Thursday. I assume that I'll do an introduction like I did last time to introduce the members and then turn over all the actual substance to you guys.
Yeah, quick 3-4 hour training at the end of the session.
So
you might think you need it after you've served on the panel.
All right, with that, let's go.
Can I actually just, I just want to re-emphasize the confidentiality provision so that everyone is clear about the current restrictions. The records that are produced or acquired by the panel and any information that you receive is confidential. And the records that you produce or acquire are not subject to the Public Records Act request. So if there's a request, we don't even respond. We don't have to respond. It is not a record subject to public scrutiny. With that said, the confidentiality provisions in the panel procedure and its rules apply to you and us as staff. It doesn't apply to the complainant. It doesn't apply to the respondent. So a person who puts in a complaint, they are entitled to receive from the panel a record of how the panel proceeded. And so they can make that public. They can go to the press and say, this is what the panel did. The respondent also has the ability to go and disclose to anyone the complaint against them if they want to, although I've rarely seen that,
Yeah.
and any response that the panel has. What can become complicated, which the chair alluded to, is when there's a complaint to this panel and there's also a complaint to another panel, and the other panel doesn't have the information that you have or how you resolve your complaint. You get hamstrung, and then the distribution, the dissemination of the information about the complaint becomes solely the respondent's kind of, or it's taken out of your hands.
Mhm.
And that's very awkward, and it leads to awkward conversations with the other panels where they say, I got this complaint from someone. You had a complaint from him too, about him too. And I was like, I can't talk to you about that.
Put you in awkward positions.
Right.
And then again, alluding to what the chair said, you're gonna have media because the confidentiality is not on the respondent and the complainant. They're going to contact the media in some cases, and the media is going to call you, and the media is going to say, hey, we already know about this, why can't you talk to us about that? In other bodies, jurisdictions say when the matter is publicly known from a source other than the panel itself or its members, and the panel can issue short statements about panel process or action. And I think that that's effectively what the chair is saying that you should look at.
Much better explanation than I provided you all. That's why we're lucky to have Mike and Betsy Ann as part of the leading this panel.
So if we were to take that route, it would be as a panel, the communication would come from us as a panel.
Yeah, I think that's the way it would make sense.
I think that's
Chair.
best practice.
Okay.
So in accordance with your procedure, in order to discuss the confidential material, we want